Patrick Mouratoglou, the high-profile coach and analyst, has just ignited one of the biggest debates in modern tennis, and the reactions from Boris Becker and Rafael Nadal only made it explode even more in a recent statement that quickly went viral across social media. Mouratoglou claimed that Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner are already playing tennis at a higher level than the legendary Big Three, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic, ever did at their peak. He argued that the new two represent an evolved version of the sport, specifically describing Sinner as a Novak 2.0 inches, who hits with more aggression, and Alcaraz as a physically superior Roger 2.0. This bold take immediately drew a sharp rebuttal from the tennis establishment, with Boris Becker publicly clapping back by telling Mouratoglou that he is alone with his opinion and essentially accusing him of recency bias. Rafael Nadal also entered the fray in a rare social media appearance, responding to the claims with a series of laughing and confused emojis that mocked the idea that his generation's peak had already been surpassed. The controversy has split the tennis world, with some fans agreeing that the sheer speed and power of today's game are unprecedented, while others, including former world number one Greg Ruseski, argue it is ridiculous to compare the raw level of 22-year-olds to the sustained greatness and technical mastery of legends who share 66 Grand Slam titles between them. Despite the backlash, Mouratoglou doubled down on his stance, stating that only dead fish swim with the stream, and insisting that the technical completeness and lack of weaknesses in Alcaraz and Sinner's games set them apart from any previous generation in history.
For those who think that Djokovic beating Sinner in the semifinal of the Australian Open means that the Big Three is playing better tennis than Alcaraz and Sinner, this is a very short view. First of all, you take one match and you make a rule out of it. Just remember that Sinner had won the 5 previous matches they played against each other. Just one match will not make me change my mind about what I've seen for the last 2-3 years. Jannik moves faster, hits harder, takes the ball earlier, and serves better than Novak. But Novak is the strongest mental in tennis in the history, and that's what made the difference. That's what made his whole career. Sinner won 12 more points throughout the whole match than Novak, but he lost because Novak won the big ones, the ones that counted the most. Novak is not a better tennis player than Sinner, but he's the biggest competitor in the history, and he was better than Jannik Sinner on that match.
The debate ignited by Patrick Mouratoglou concerning the evolution of modern tennis has effectively split the sporting world into two irreconcilable factions, creating a firestorm of controversy that has only intensified following the 2000 Open where Carlos Alcaraz completed his historic career Grand Slam. Mouratoglou, a coach known for his analytical approach and often provocative stances, has doubled down on his assertion that the speed, intensity, physicality, and overall technical level of today's top players, specifically Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, has fundamentally surpassed what the world witnessed during the peak years of the sport's greatest era. In Mouratoglou's view, the Big Three of Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic were the pioneers who set the stage, but the new two are the refined successors who have taken those blueprints and optimized them beyond what was previously thought possible. Mouratoglou explained that while Novak Djokovic may still win big matches, including recent high-stakes victories over Sinner in 2000-2005, these single results do not change the broader, macro-level picture of the sport's progression. From his perspective, tennis has undergone a definitive evolution where Alcaraz and Sinner represent a new standard defined by significantly faster rallies, heavier ball strikes, more explosive and flexible athletic movement, and a brand of relentless pressure from the baseline that simply did not exist 20 years ago. He emphasized that comparing trophies alone, a metric usually used to shut down any argument against the Big Three, actually misses the point of his analysis. To Mouratoglou, the game itself has changed as expected, and technical completeness is the new baseline, whereas Federer might have had a period where his backhand was a target, or Nadal struggled on faster indoor hard courts early in his career. Alcaraz and Sinner are born complete, possessing every shot in the book and the physical conditioning to execute them for 5 hours without a dip in intensity. This take, while grounded in modern sports science and data-driven observation, did not go down well with everyone, especially not with the legends who built the very pedestal Mouratoglou is attempting to renovate. Boris Becker, the former world number one and 6-time Grand Slam champion, responded directly to Mouratoglou on social media with a bluntness that resonated with traditionalists everywhere. Becker made it very clear that he fundamentally disagrees with the notion that higher intensity equals better tennis. Becker wrote that Mouratoglou is, alone with his opinion, strongly defending the legacy of the Big Three by arguing that dominance over time matters far more than a momentary peak level. For Becker, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic didn't just play great tennis. They ruled the sport with an iron fist for nearly 2 decades, navigating multiple generations of challengers and adapting their games to remain at the top into their late 30s. To suggest that 2 young players, however brilliant, have already surpassed that collective mastery is, in Becker's eyes, a symptom of extreme recency bias. Then came the most talked about reaction of all. Rafael Nadal, a man who is usually silent in online debates and prefers to let his racket do the talking, briefly reacted to Mouratoglou's viral comments with a series of laughing and face with hand over mouth emojis. This digital intervention instantly caught the attention of the global tennis community, as fans interpreted the move as Nadal openly mocking the claim that today's players are already superior to the legends who defined the 21st century. However, in a move that added even more mystery to the saga, Nadal deleted the comment within minutes of posting it. That deletion only added fuel to the fire, leaving fans and pundits to speculate whether Nadal reconsidered his public stance, felt the comment was beneath his dignity, or was perhaps advised by his team not to get dragged into a messy public controversy while he continues his own legendary Sunset Tour. This debate is happening at a fascinating and pivotal moment in tennis history. Carlos Alcaraz's recent triumph in Melbourne has cemented his status as the undisputed face of the next generation, making him the youngest man to win all 4 majors, and doing so at an age that even surpassed the record set by a young Nadal. Meanwhile, Jannik Sinner continues to challenge and beat the very best on the biggest stages, proving that his ball striking is perhaps the cleanest and most powerful the tour has ever seen.
Carlos, congrats on reaching the 3rd round. How do you assess your performance today compared to the 1st round?
Well, I think I was obviously I didn't see myself, playing that good. But then talking to my team, then I realized that I played better than I thought, which I think is great. But obviously I still getting used to the conditions, getting used to there. Playing better. Obviously, I think in front of me, I just played against a great player today. But just happy that I'm just improving every day after every match. So just hopefully being better in the next round.
Dave?
Congratulations on the win. Is that a common occurrence that maybe you feel like you didn't play as well, and then your team tells you that you played better? What is the dynamic typically after a match?
Well, it's just, as I said many times, I think when you're on court, you cannot see the right thing sometimes. So you're stuck in the negative thoughts or negative things, and then you don't see the global or the whole thing. So when you're watching the match from outside, everything is more clear. So the feeling of how I felt on court, that means that or that's why I said that I didn't feel that good. But obviously it's because of Jannik, that he played or he pulled off great shots that he didn't let me feel comfortable on the court. But in general, as I said, it's just about those feelings, and those comments with my team after the match helps me a lot to, in the next round, see the things more clear.
Matt?
Hey Carlos, well done. You said the other day that you were going to keep adjusting your serve or all the different strokes that you hit. What would you say are the most valuable adjustments that you have made, or the most valuable changes that you have made in the last year or so, or year or two, after you're already at a pretty good level, that have really helped you?
Well, I don't know. I would say probably technical part. I think the serve is a shot that I've doing a lot of changes the last year. Not other shot I've been changing anything, or I've been putting so much attention on it. But outside, in terms of shots, I just adjusting myself about how I behave, how I talk to myself, how I just approach every match, how I approach every tournament. In some really difficult moments in the match, how I deal with them. So those adjustments, I just try to make it in in the best way possible in the last year, and then something that I've been so much focused on it.
Their level is undeniable, and many fans agree that the modern game, fueled by advances in racket technology, string tension, and sports nutrition, is faster and more physically demanding than ever before. If you watch a rally between Alcaraz and Sinner, the average speed of the ground strokes often exceeds the peak speed seen in matches from 2005 or 2010. At the same time, the argument remains that the big three didn't just dominate. They defined a psychological era. Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic pushed each other to historic heights, creating a virtuous cycle of improvement that resulted in an unprecedented number of Grand Slams. For many, that longevity, mental toughness, and the ability to find a way to win when playing poorly outweigh any argument about pure playing level or shot speed. Into this fray stepped Andy Roddick, who has offered a different, more nuanced opinion that bridges the gap between the two sides. Roddick has walked into the conversation regarding the best of all time with a sense of awe for what Alcaraz specifically is accomplishing. Roddick pointed out that there are only so many people on Earth who can walk into any Grand Slam venue in the world and say, "Oh, I won here too," noting that Alcaraz is now one of the few humans in history to hold that distinction. Roddick highlighted that Alcaraz is the youngest to have ever done it, edging out Rafa's record by a couple of years. Roddick remarked on how lucky the sport of tennis is that immediately following the era of the Big Three and Big Four, a player has emerged whose game is so magnetic that you literally cannot take your eyes off of it. Roddick's perspective isn't just about speed, it's about the watchability and the creative genius Alcaraz brings, which Roddick believes rivals the peak aesthetics of Federer, while adding a level of defensive grit that seems superhuman. Roddick noted that while Rafa was once the gold standard for young prodigies, Alcaraz has jumped the timeline, and it's not as if there are others close to him. He is out in front by a significant margin. However, Roddick also cautioned that the level Mouratoglou speaks of must be sustained. The true brilliance of the Big Three was not just their 100% level, but their 80% level, which was still better than everyone else's 100%. Roddick suggests that while Alcaraz and Sinner might be hitting the ball harder and moving faster, they are still in the honeymoon phase of their careers, where their bodies are fresh and their hunger is at its peak. The question that remains at the heart of this explosive debate is whether Mouratoglou is technically correct that the ceiling of tennis has been raised, or if he is simply underestimating the intangible qualities, the aura, the tactical IQ, and the situational mastery that allowed the Big Three to win even when their physical level was declining. Is tennis truly evolving beyond its legends, or are we witnessing a transition where the new stars are being prematurely crowned based on the excitement of the now? As Alcaraz and Sinner prepare for the clay and grass seasons of 2026, every match they play against the remaining veterans will be scrutinized through the lens of this debate. If they continue to dominate, Mouratoglou will claim vindication, asserting that the evolution of the sport is an unstoppable force. But if the old guard, led by a resilient Djokovic or a resurgent Nadal, manages to reclaim a major title, the longevity argument championed by Becker will gain even more weight.
He becomes the first man in the Open era to win each slam in his first finals appearance, joining the only other person on the planet to do it, which is one Serena Williams. All of those achievements are so easy for any sports fan to understand, and doing it before 23 years old is insane.
I'd won all of the things before Rafa, Roger, Novak, Borg. I don't know that we had to have a crystal ball to know what Novak had to do. It's kind of what we said. He came out, he was going massive. Like, he was not leaving anything in the tank. I think he knew that cat and mouse with Carlos, where if we're taking pace off him deflating, it's just hard because when you give Carlos more time, you're also giving him more options. Then he has time, then he brings in drop shots, then he brings in the mix of pace, which Carlos did off the return. He had to serve and volley, he had to disrupt, he had to try to pin Carlos in that forehand corner to get to the backhand corner. I think tactically, I think Novak did what he wanted to, but it's strange because now we're in that shift where one person in this matchup has to up the risk, and it's exactly what Novak and Rafa and Roger did to the rest of us normies for all of those years. And it's like, okay, you can do it for a set, but can you do it for 4 sets? The greats always make you up your risk profile. At 38 years old, are the options more narrow in a match for Novak? Absolutely. In order to win one of these matches against the Sinners and the Alcaraz, you need to win the clutch points more often. Against Sinner was 2 of 18 on break points. That manifests in a 6-4 in the 5th win for Novak. Just a masterclass in getting through, fighting, clawing, situational tennis, timing his advances at the highest levels of the highest matches. If someone's converting break points at like even close to a 40% clip, they're most likely going to win. On this specific day, because I can see all you guys going, he's 24, how dare you call it an upset? Right now, on this specific day, that would have been an upset, and that's okay to say. I think Carlos was the favorite going into this match. On this day, he had to come out and win that first set and kind of get inside of Carlos a little bit. Listen, I know you've done it 24 times, but at least up until this match, I've done it 6 times in a pretty short amount of time. Like, he's getting to that point where he is going to get settled. He hasn't really seen much. He knew that he had maybe more options, more different pathways to victory, where I think the pathway was a little bit narrower for Novak strategically. Carlos has now entered that conversation where you have to do something extraordinary for a very long time. It's tough to get on top of him. Credit to Novak, man. I'm in a rush to see him play it. You know, French Open, I think, is difficult at this point. Like, you need your body more and you need to be able to play defense. But, like, I don't know. The only thing I'm in a rush is to see him try at Wimbledon again. He knows that I'm Novak. I can maybe pull off a miracle. I have that. It lives inside of me, right? These little miracles live inside of me. That's what happened against Sinner. After the U.S. Open last year, he's like, I don't know if I can go through Sinner and Alcaraz back-to-back in 5 sets. He probably still doesn't know that. You know, the depressing part is you take out one and then you got the other one. I mean, that match against Sinner is going to be one of my favorite matches that he's played. You know, this kind of, you don't want to say underdog because that's disrespectful, but like this moment in time is going to be really appreciated. Like, making the semis of every fucking slam at this age, like, no hiccups, no exceptions. And I know he got a default. Stop. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. This guy's made a whole lot of luck in his career by virtue of being really, really good. Listen, Novak, Roger, Rafa, they set the example to where, you know, Carlos doesn't think impossible exists now.
Ultimately, the conversation highlights a fundamental truth about sports. Every generation believes they are the pinnacle until the next one arrives to prove them wrong. Whether Alcaraz and Sinner are truly better than the big three may never be settled by a computer or a radar gun. But the fact that the conversation is even happening while the legends are still active proves that we are living through a second golden age of tennis. One that is faster, louder, and more physically punishing than anything that came before it, just as Mouratoglou insists. The deletion of Nadal's emoji-laden response suggests that even the legends themselves feel the pressure of this new wave. A silent acknowledgement that the game they perfected is being transformed into something entirely new by 2 young men who refuse to be intimidated by the shadows of the giants who preceded them. This evolution is not just about the players, it is about the changing nature of human performance, where the peak of yesterday becomes the standard of today, leaving the world to wonder just how much higher the ceiling can go before it finally reaches its limit. Now, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with Mouratoglou, or are Becker Nadal right to push back, and where do Alcaraz and Sinner really rank in tennis history right now? Thank you for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you get notified every time we post. See you in the next one.